Welcome back to the USA Cabinet Store Remodeling Podcast, the show where we turn confusing remodeling quotes into a plan you can actually act on. I'm Chris, and as always, I've got Jessica here with me. Today, we're tackling one of the most searched questions in the whole kitchen world. How much does a 10 by 10 kitchen remodel actually cost in 2026? Jessica, people are losing sleep over this one.
They really are, Chris. And here's the thing. If you've been scrolling Reddit or Quora at midnight trying to sanity check a contractor's quote, you are not alone. The 10 by 10 kitchen is basically the industry's measuring stick. So let me give everyone the headline number right up front. In 2026, most professionally completed 10 by 10 remodels land between $20,000 and $45,000. Budget projects can start around $10,000 to $18,000, and high-end transformations can run $60,000 to over $100,000. And those numbers are about 10 to 14% higher than they were just a year or two ago.
Okay, 10 to 14% higher. We're going to get into exactly why that is, because the reason is actually really interesting this year. But first, let's back up. You said the 10 by 10 is a measuring stick. I think a lot of people hear 10 by 10 and assume their kitchen has to be exactly that size. That's not it, right?
Exactly right. A 10 by 10 kitchen is a pricing template, not a strict room size. It's a 100 square foot benchmark that assumes roughly 20 linear feet of cabinets, a basic layout with standard wall and base cabinets, and the classic work triangle between your sink, range, and refrigerator. So you might actually have an 8 by 12 or a 9 by 11 or a little galley kitchen. That's totally fine. Designers use the 10 by 10 model to estimate your cabinet package, and then they adjust the price up or down based on your real measurements and your actual linear footage.
Perfect. So the 10 by 10 is our baseline. But let me zoom out for a second, because plenty of folks listening don't have a 10 by 10. They just want the big picture. What's the average cost of a kitchen remodel in 2026 across all sizes?
Love that question, because it puts the 10 by 10 in context. Nationally, the average kitchen remodel in 2026 runs about $27,000 to $35,000, with most projects landing somewhere between $15,000 and $75,000. If you break it down by scope, a minor cosmetic refresh is roughly $18,000 to $27,000. A medium remodel is $45,000 to $71,000, and a large kitchen can run $95,000 to $137,000 or more. Now here's the big asterisk for our listeners in the DMV. Northern Virginia and the DC metro average around $75,000, which is about 40% above the national average, thanks to premium labor rates and tougher permitting. So when you hear that 10 by 10 number of $20,000 to $45,000, that's really a minor to mid-range project, which is exactly why it's the most popular remodel out there.
That context really helps. So whatever your number is, let's talk about where that money actually goes. If I hand over, say, $35,000 for my kitchen, what am I really paying for?
Great question. And this is where people get surprised. The single biggest piece is almost always cabinets. They eat up 30 to 40% of your entire budget. After that, labor is the other giant. In 2026, labor can be anywhere from 35 to 50% of your final invoice, especially in metro markets. Then you've got appliances at around 15%, countertops around 10%, and smaller slices for flooring, backsplash, lighting, and plumbing. So really, cabinets and labor together can be 70% or more of the whole project. Everything else is the supporting cast.
Cabinets and labor, 70%. Okay, so that tells me where to focus if I want to control costs. Now, let's get into the part that makes 2026 different from any other year. Jessica, talk to me about tariffs, because this is the thing that's actually moving prices right now.
This is the part everyone needs to understand, because it can genuinely save you thousands. In late 2025, the government put a 25% tariff on imported wooden cabinets. Cabinets coming from Vietnam, which is actually the largest supplier to the US, face 46%. Canada is 25%. So a stock cabinet package that used to cost $3,000 might now be $4,000 to $4,500. Here's the kicker, though. There was supposed to be a jump to 50% in January 2026, but that got postponed to January 2027. So 2026 is this unique stability window before prices climb again.
So there's a window. That's a big deal for timing. And I'm guessing this is exactly why you and the team are always talking about American-made cabinets.
100%. This is why working with domestic manufacturers matters so much right now. USA Cabinet Store partners with American brands like Fabuwood out of New Jersey and Showplace Cabinetry out of South Dakota. Because those cabinets are made here, they're not subject to those import tariffs. So you get semi-custom quality, plywood boxes, dovetail drawers, soft close hinges as standard, without paying the tariff penalty that imported boxes carry. The strategic advice from industry analysts is to start your project in early to mid-2026, because as that January 2027 hike gets closer, demand is going to surge and prices and lead times will both get worse.
Start early, beat the rush. Got it. Now, tariffs don't just hit cabinets, right? I heard appliances got caught up in this too.
They did. There's a 50% tariff on the steel and aluminum content inside imported appliances. And steel is heavy. It can be half the weight of a big stainless refrigerator. So, imported brands like Samsung and LG have seen prices tick up 5 to 10%. The good news is American-made brands are barely affected. Think GE, Maytag, Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Blue Star. And while we're on appliances, I have to mention the biggest shift in cooking right now, which is induction. It's gone totally mainstream.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up induction because I get asked about it constantly. Sell me on it. Why is everyone switching?
So, induction boils water up to 50% faster than gas, with really precise temperature control. The surface stays cool to the touch, which honestly matters a lot in a tight 10 by 10 kitchen where people are squeezing past the stove. And there's no indoor air quality concern the way there is with gas. The one hidden cost to budget for is electrical. Switching to induction often needs a dedicated 40 to 50 amp circuit, and if your panel is older, that upgrade can run $1,000 to $3,000. So factor that in before you fall in love with a cooktop.
That hidden electrical cost is exactly the kind of thing that blows up a budget if nobody warns you. Let's do a quick lightning round on the other surfaces. Countertops and sinks. What should people know?
Quick version. For countertops, engineered quartz is still the top pick for busy families because it's non-porous, never needs sealing, and shrugs off scratches and stains. Just don't put a hot pan directly on it. Quartzite is the natural stone upgrade if you want something more unique, but it needs annual sealing. And one design note for 2026, the trend has moved away from those loud, dramatic veins that scream fake marble. People want quiet, subtle patterns now. On sinks, the big story is the workstation sink. It has an integrated ledge, so cutting boards and colanders slide right over the basin. A 30-inch workstation sink basically adds 30 inches of prep space, which is a genuine game changer when your kitchen is small.
A sink that gives you counter space back. In a small kitchen, that's gold. Speaking of small, let's talk layout. The question I hear most: can a 10 by 10 kitchen have an island?
The island question. Here's the honest answer. In a closed-off 10 by 10, a traditional island usually breaks the 36-inch minimum walkway clearance that building codes require. 42 inches is preferred if two people cook. So in a truly enclosed 10 by 10, a fixed island often just doesn't fit safely. But if your kitchen opens up to a dining or living area, a small island or a peninsula can absolutely work. And if it doesn't fit, you've got great alternatives. A mobile kitchen cart, or that workstation sink we just talked about, both add prep space without eating your floor. As for the layout itself, a galley or an L shape tends to be the most efficient use of a 10 by 10.
Smart. Work with the space you have instead of forcing something that fights the code. All right, let's bring it home with the part everybody actually wants. How do I save money, and is any of this going to pay me back? Give me your top tips.
Okay, my biggest money savers. First, buy US-made cabinets and appliances to dodge those tariffs. Second, seriously consider cabinet refacing instead of full replacement. It keeps your existing boxes and just swaps the doors and fronts, and it can save you a big chunk. Third, and this is the giant one, keep your existing layout. Moving plumbing or gas lines can add $5,000 to $20,000. Keep your sink and stove where they are and you save a fortune. And here's the payoff. A minor kitchen remodel recoups roughly 96 to 113% of its cost at resale in hot markets. That makes it one of the only home improvements that can actually pay for itself.
96 to 113%. So in the right market, a minor remodel can literally pay you back. That is the perfect note to end on. So to wrap it up, folks, a typical kitchen remodel averages 27 to 35,000 nationally, more like 75,000 here in the DMV, and a mid-range 10 by 10 lands around 20 to 45,000. Cabinets and labor are most of your spend. 2026 is a tariff stability window, so American-made cabinets and an early start are your best friends, and if you keep your layout simple, the whole thing can pay for itself. If you want a real line item plan for your space, the team at USA Cabinet Store does free design consultations. Just head to usacabinetstore.com or call 703-936-8222.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Go measure your kitchen, lock in that tariff window, and we'll see you in the next episode. Happy remodeling.